Hi, it's Norma from Hanover Public Library with another book talk from my living room. Well, we've been home, self-isolating for several weeks now, and for some of us it may feel like the walls are starting to close in a bit. Make sure you get outside every day for some fresh air if you can. That will help some. Another way to make yourself feel a little less constrained is to read books that feature settings in wide open country. I'm going to recommend a couple of series that do that. Peter Bowen's Gabriel DuPre novels and Craig Johnson's Longmire series. Gabriel DuPre is a Métis man who lives in rural Montana near the mountains. He works at this and that. Sometimes he's a livestock inspector and sometimes he's a sheriff's deputy. And he spends his weekends playing traditional Métis fiddle music. He lives with his partner, Madeline, and he has a plethora of good friends who are all lovably quirky. Gabriel is tied to the land and the history of his people, both the indigenous and the French. His spiritual father is an old fellow named Benetzi, who has a cabin in the mountains, a sweat lodge, and some mystical abilities that leave Gabriel shaking his head, sometimes mystified at how Benetzi seems to be able to know things that can't be known. The first book in the series came out in the 1990s, and it's entitled Coyote Wind. That's it there. While hunting in the mountains, DuPre finds the wreck of a small airplane that has been missing for 30 years. There is a bleached human skull among the wreckage, and it has a bullet hole in it. So Gabriel finds himself figuring out a 30-year-old murder. The trail leads to a wealthy alcoholic named Bart, who, it turns out, is worth saving from himself. But it takes all the efforts of DuPre, Madeline, Benetzi, and self-forgiveness to bring Bart back from the edge. Coyote Wind introduces us to the characters that inhabit Bowen's Montana, and I guarantee you'll want to read more about them. There's dry humor, hard times, and a strong bond of caring that ties them together and makes them a joy to read. Peter Bowen wrote 15 books in the Gabriel DuPre series before passing away this year, and they're all available on Overdrive and Libby. Craig Johnson's Longmire series is set in Wyoming, next to Montana. The main character is Walt Longmire, a veteran, a sheriff, and a widower with a grown daughter who's a lawyer in Philadelphia. The first book in the series is called The Cold Dish. See if I can get that turned around. That's The Cold Dish. It welcomes us into Walt's world. Small town life, few good friends, and the beautiful but harsh landscape of Wyoming. Walt Longmire, sheriff of Absaroka County, likes a quiet life and wants to finish out his term in peace. But when young Cody Pritchard is found shot to death and dumped in with a farmer's sheep, Walt thinks this might be the beginning of someone's idea of revenge. You see, 2 years earlier, Pritchard and 3 friends had been convicted of sexually assaulting a young girl, but had received only a slap on the wrist. Walt wades into the mystery, hoping against hope that he can prevent more revenge killings. These 2 series have quite a lot in common, despite the great difference in writing styles. They both have recurring characters that are very appealing. The great thing about reading a series is that you get to know the characters and their communities so much so that they become real to you. You can hardly wait for the next book so you can go hang out with them again. Both Peter Bowen and Craig Johnson have built worlds that you want to spend time in, lots of humor and pathos. Another common theme to these 2 series is the role that the settings play in the stories. Wyoming and Montana are both places of rugged landscape, tough climates, breathtaking beauty, and unforgiving wilderness. The settings work in the stories with the power of a strong character for both good and bad. But it's not so much man versus nature as man as part of nature. Finally, both series feature loads of humor, mostly dry wit that will make you laugh out loud. It's intelligent humor with perfect deadpan delivery that makes these stories irresistible. Both Peter Bowen's Gabriel DuPre series and Craig Johnson's Longmire series are available on Libby and Overdrive, and they're liable to take the edge off of your cabin fever, so I highly recommend them. So keep calm and carry on reading, and hopefully we'll see you soon back at the library. Bye for now.